Hello everyone, good morning. It's me, Jennifer, and welcome to my new segment called Read With Me. And this idea came to me this morning as I was doing my reading, and currently still reading up on Geneen Roth's Women, Food, and God. And as I was reading the book, and you guys probably do the same thing. Every time there is some sort of like an aha moment, or something like a phrase or a quote that really resonates with you. You either highlight it, or in my case, I've been doing like doggy ears, and the idea came to me that rather than typing the quote and sharing it on my Instagram page or Facebook page, perhaps I could do a video such as like this and just read it, especially if it's longer than like one or two sentences. And so without further delay, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and start. Okay, so once again, I'm gonna be reading from Geneen Roth's Women, Food, and God. And this is chapter 8, Married to Amazement. I first heard about meditation in the early 70s from a guy named David, who was a student of a little guru with a lot of money. David and his fellow meditators lived together in a house in New York where they practiced celibacy and meditation. The first, according to the little guru, being a prerequisite of the other. David explained that meditation was like being lifted on currents of warm air, like a hawk soaring in lazy circles. Your mind gets very quiet, he said, and something else, something sweet and glowing and holy takes over. I was all ready to sign up when David's arm soared around my neck and grabbed my breast in a holy sort of way. I removed his hand and told him to get lost. A few months later, I found myself in India, where I learned mantra meditation, saying a phrase over and over to quiet the mind. But the phrase Soham, which means I am that, which is eternal, unconditioned, beyond time and space, was in Sanskrit and sounded very much like ho-hum. And no matter how many times I said it, I'd fall asleep. Since then, I've tried dozens of different meditations, streaming light meditations, visualization meditations, multi-syllabic mantra meditations. I've tried Tibetan Buddhist meditations, Sufi meditations, Taoist, non-meditation meditations, and while none of them did what I thought they were going to do, turn my mind into an ocean of bliss, I am nonetheless exhorting you to meditate. Here's a tiny snapshot of why. Last night, I went to bed rather cheerfully. Matt had just returned from a week-long work trip. 12 double bowl of beauty peonies were blooming in my garden, and I'd had a productive writing day. Also, the Earth had survived yet another 24 hours without a nuclear blast. Life was good. Then came the middle of the night. My mind, which had been in repose during the previous 86 times I'd woken up, started playing its familiar music. And these, more or less, are the tunes. Joe, our contractor who had installed a leaky roof, still hasn't returned my call. I bet he's not intending to. I'm going to have to call a lawyer, but it's probably going to cost so much to pay the damn lawyer that by the time I get done forking out the cash for those bills, I could have gotten a new roof. That fucking contractor. I need to call the lawyer first thing in the morning. My throat hurts. I wonder what signs of esophageal cancer are. Is my computer on? Maybe I should go look up the signs of throat cancer. I'm getting old. Soon I'm going to die. And since Matt will die first, I'll be alone. Men always leave first. Why didn't we have children? I know people say that having children so that you will have someone to take care of you when you're old and no one else cares is not a good reason. But what were they thinking when they said that? Maybe it's not too late to adopt. We could go to Russia, maybe even the town where our grandparents came from, if we knew which or where it was. Litvia, Minsk, are those even real words? We'd have to spend months there. At least we could drink vodka, but first I'd have to like the taste of it. It's late. I need to go back to sleep. I think I'll get a glass of water. Water. California had its driest spring in 156 years. Soon there won't be any water. The earth is either going to be scorched or underwater, and we're definitely living in the scorched part. Oh man, I better learn to eat roots and 3 stumps and leaves starting tomorrow. Because what if Matt dies and I am old and alone and haven't learned to eat stumps yet? I'm going to Google adopting in Russia first thing in the morning after I call the contractor or maybe the lawyer. These are the ravings of a paranoid, frightened, bitter person. Someone you wouldn't want your children to be alone with. And this was a good night. After decades of meditating, my mind, left to its default position, does not soar like a hawk. And for the first 10 years of my practice, I was bitterly disappointed by my shocking lack of progress. I thought I was meditating to smooth out the rough edges, to transform my anger, to become a different person. Someone like the Meryl Streep character in Defending Your Life, who ran into burning buildings to save sick people and children, but it turns out that it's hopeless. The mind, as Catherine Ingram says, is mad. And this is very good news, because once you accept the madness, once you stop trying to reform what cannot be reformed, you can pay attention to what isn't mad, which, in my opinion, is one of the main purposes of meditation. Last night, for example, as I was finding fault with the immediate universe, there was a tiny voice that understood that my mind was playing its usual songs and I didn't need to listen. I've heard the tunes before. They usually fall into the "they did me wrong" mix, or the "I did them wrong" mix, or "a major catastrophe is imminent" mix. The "dying alone" refrain is also a favorite, but that falls into the catastrophe medley as a subset of personal catastrophe. A woman in my retreat said, "Why on earth would anyone want to meditate? Why would I want to sit quietly when there is so much to do and so much that is infinitely more compelling?" Another woman said, "My mind is the most interesting thing about me. My mind is what makes me different from other people. My mind is what helped me graduate from Harvard Law with honors. Why would I want to pay attention to anything besides my very smart mind?" And the answer is, minds are useful when we need to conceptualize, plan, theorize. But when we depend on them to guide our inner lives, we're lost. Minds are excellent at presenting 1,000 different variations of the past and conjuring them into a future, and then scaring us with most of them. Most of the time, we don't question our minds. We believe in their lunacy. We have a thought, "My contractor is never going to call me back." That evokes a corresponding emotion: anger, anxiety, blame. And we are suddenly on the phone with the lawyer, convinced that we hired a thief who is now on his way to Costa Rica with our money. Or we pass by a bakery window and see a bear claw, and we are suddenly convinced we have to have it now. Convinced that we were born to be standing here at this very window, about to walk into the bakery and get it, eat it, be transported to a bliss realm. Meditation develops the capacity to question your mind. Without it, you are at the mercy of every thought, every desire, every wave of emotion. You become unhinged, dependent on whether things are going well that day or not. whether anyone has rejected you that day or not. If nothing kicks up the "they did me wrong" mix, or the "I am fat and unloved and will always be this way" mix, you might have a good eating day. But if you pass a mirror and don't like what you see, if you have a fight with a friend, a partner, a boss, a child, there is nowhere to go but your mind, which usually means listening to one of the familiar whipped up melodies and believing every word of it. When you spend time watching the mind, you notice the familiar medleys, and you notice what is noticing the medleys. The stillness that is apart from them. After a while, the stillness feels more like you than the top 10 medleys. You begin to love that which is not caught up in the hysteria. Love the stillness, love the spaciousness, love the peace. Meditation helps you discover what you love that you didn't know you love because you were so caught up in your mind that you didn't realize there was anything else there. The value of meditation is that it helps you first discover and then bring yourself back to what you love. And that's the end of that that chapter that I want to read to all of you guys. And I guess just to add to what Geneen wrote, I think for me, meditation, as what she was referring to, combining it with Eckhart Tolle's pointers or guidance, is the simple practice or ability to observe and become the awareness of your mind. Meditation doesn't necessarily have to be being in a quiet room and try to suppress or stop your mind from thinking. I think you will create more suffering because, when you're trying to resist something, it's more work, it's more suffering. But there is something more natural with the practice of aligning with that inner essence. Either you use the word more deeper or higher, right? Higher above the thoughts, the mental structure. The idea is that you kind of like my analogies, like you go, like it's like the back seat of the car, and then you watch the stream of thoughts and you're simply observing it. They come and go just like clouds in the sky anyways, but it seems simple, but we are so conditioned that the conditioning is so deep, right? Also that we think, we feel, therefore that's who we are, right? But when she said here, when you spend time watching the mind, you notice the familiar medleys, and you notice what is noticing the medleys. So this is then the journey really within, because once you recognize that there is that which that is able to observe and watch the mind, you start questioning who is that or what is that, right? So it's a deeper spiritual practice, but surely you can at least go to that space where you become the observer of your mind and your thought process. There is that awareness that knows, even when you're having a bad day, when you say snap at someone, right? You are able to say that, wow, that wasn't nice of me. Or there is that which is aware that you're about to snap, or you're about to get mad, right? Or so when you're around somebody, right? And you tell yourself, all right, hold your tongue, just don't say anything that you will regret, right? There's that awareness. A lot more more aware, a lot more alert than when you are in complete possession by the mind, right? Because when you finally enter that state where there's no more alertness or presence, and you are already in the middle of a fight with somebody, you are pretty much like spiritually speaking, like asleep. You're not there. But anytime you're able to, like, you know, find yourself alert, like, all right, hold your tongue, don't say anything that you will regret. That's you. That there is that witch that is aware and being present and being alert. But anyways, yeah, I guess what I want to add is meditation doesn't necessarily mean like being quiet or being, you know, in a cave or in a super quiet room. To me, how I apply the concept of meditation or contemplation, you know, is something that, you know, I am able to do, you know, throughout, you know, the rest of the day. It's just, you know, waking up from the mental noise and catching myself and be able to observe and become aware of, you know, the thoughts that I'm still playing in my head from the past, of, you know, what this person said to me like 10 years ago that really upset me, or you know, then you kind of worry about the future. It kind of like goes back and forth. And if before you have no control over it, you are just like completely possessed, overtaken by your thoughts, with this practice, you will, you know, become more aligned with your pure essence, that which your consciousness, that which is simply aware of the mental thoughts, a complete detachment from the mental structure and the noise and all the mixtapes that, you know, keep playing in your head. There, you know, you will create that space now between the music playing in your head, the chatters, the mental chatters, and you in the backseat of the car, which is simply observing, detached and not identified with the thoughts. Anyway, that's it for the first session of the Read With Me segment. And there's more to come, because I love reading books, and there's plenty of you know, quotes or chapters, life-changing and aha moments from different books. I definitely would be reading up from The Power of Now, of course, Sir Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now book, and A New Earth. And I'm really excited about this project. So anyways, thank you for spending time with me. I hope that was helpful and valuable to you. And until next time, have a beautiful morning, and peace be with you.